Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Don't just listen, immerse yourself.
That is 100% true.
Butterfly from my belly, you giving me energy. I don't lose my composure, come me losing control, giving me more than I need. Everything where you carry for body, even if what I carry me pepe. No fit to revise you my oreke, my reading my blues, my activity or reading from Monday to Sunday. Say you be my goal, best you and everything I go do for my pepe. My reading my blues, my activity or reading from Monday to Sunday. Say you be my goal, yeah, now everything I go do for my pepe. My trigger, my muse, everything my pepe. My reading my blues, so many things you did do, nobody do me like you do. My trigger, my muse, everything my pepe. My reading my blues, so many things you did do, nobody, nothing carry you play, I fit to lose. Carry my love, put it all on you, and I get the money for two. Over my retina when you come through. Now you be my personal person. Forget teaching that I need blessing. Other guys, they don't teach me lesson. Then not only you ain't no distress. Personal person, my jigger, my muse. Everything my baby. My reading, my blues. So many things you did do, nobody do me like you do. My jigger, my muse. Everything my baby. My reading, my blues. So many things you did do, nobody do me like you do. Carry you for my head, my shoulder. I got for you my knees and toes. Now you behind me, I don't want so bad. Nobody do me like you do. Carry you for my head, my shoulder. I got for you my knees and toes. Now you behind me, I don't want so bad. Nobody do me like you.
Say no to the ordinary. Embrace the extraordinary, because we are the voice of the people. Voice of the people. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM.
Because he lives, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future. Your life is worth the living just because he lives.
Good evening, my beloved listeners. It is I, God's servant, Apostle Innocent Onyogasri Henry, welcoming you to another edition of the Burden Bearers Ministries program. God bless you as you tune in. Let us pray. We bless you, holy and righteous God, for this moment. Let the entrance of your word give light and understanding to us. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen. My beloved listeners, the message you are about listening to is titled War Against the Marine Kingdom, Part 6. It is the 6th part or episode of this very deliverance series. We've been on it from the 1st, and now this is the 6th. And by God's grace, we will do our best to round it up at this point. And our specific topic for this night is living in victory over the marine kingdom. Through the weeks, we have seen the devastations that the marine kingdom can do and is doing in the lives of people. Within this period that the message was aired, some of our listeners have expressed their concerns over the things they heard. It's not as though there is anything new that we have said. But when the word of God goes out, there is a way it opens people's understanding that even the things they knew previously, they got to know it afresh. And that is what is happening. And many people are asking, how do I get free? How do I get delivered from all this mess that I have found myself in. I want to say to you, that is the purpose for this night's message. And I would pray that you pay great attention. Living in victory over them, it shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. This was an instruction given by God to the children of Israel and to us by extension. This instruction has to do with all issues of idol worship, whether they are marine or they are witchcraft or they are other things. God's instruction is very clear. Number one, you shall destroy their altars. Some of you listening to me have altars of the marine on your body, through the rings you are wearing, through your bangles, through your hairdo, through some of your clothing and jewelries, and through some of the things that you eat and drink. Some of you equally have their altars in your homes in the way of carved images. Some of them are there as souvenirs. Some are within your premises. They are standing, represented by one tree or another, or things that are hanging here and there, or decorations, paintings that show the mermaid and other things. God says, for you to live in victory, for you to win the war over the marine kingdom, you must destroy their altars. Number two, you must destroy, break down their images. All those things that are their images, whether they are on your body, in your house, in your premises, or wherever they are found, as long as they are images of the marine, God says destroy them, break them down. Number three, cut down their grooves. All those things that are standing as their shrines, they are grooves. God said all those shrines that are in the house, there are some places you go to, some of these Igbe worshippers, marine worshippers, in one corner of the room, they will keep a table, cover it with white cloth, put various things on top, and use either a red cloth or white cloth to cut down it out from the entire house. Some right inside the house, some outside in the compound. All of those things are grooves. God says, cut them down. And number four, God says, burn their graven images with fire. Not only are you going to cut them down, destroy them, but you need to go to the extreme. And the extreme action is that God wants to see them burn with fire. Set them on fire. Pour any combustible on them and let them burn before your eyes. Supervise their burning and make sure they are completely burnt. At the end of that, you can lift up your hands and give thanks to God. Now, as if that is not enough, in the same Deuteronomy chapter 7, the war against the marine and idolatry generally is still emphasized strongly by God. Now look at Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 25 and 26. Here God says, the graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. You shall not desire the silver or gold that is on them, or take it unto you, lest you be snared, for it is an abomination to the Lord your God. Now listen to this. In addition to burning those things with fire, God is saying, in the course of destroying them or burning them, you discover they are decorated with gold and silver. God says, don't touch. Don't take them to yourself. Don't look at them as your fringe benefit. You take them to your house, then to use them to decorate your house or to add them to the wealth that you possess. God says, no, don't do it. Because those things are abominations as long as they have been given to the devil, you cannot retrieve them and give them either to God or keep them for yourself, because they are abomination. Wherever they go to, wherever they enter, they bring in curses, they bring in judgment. Now, to buttress this, look at verse 26. God is saying in verse 26, neither shalt thou bring an abomination into your house, lest thou be a custom like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. Those of us that are involved in idol worship in one way or the other, you will discover that anything that has been dedicated to the devil or to the idol is entirely Satan's own. And any day you bring such things to your house, your compound, your entire compound comes under a curse. Your house comes under a curse. There are some places, I don't need to mention names, when you enter their compound, from the gate there is a shrine or an idol. Now you step into the compound proper. At the center of the compound, you still have an altar dedicated to the devil. Now you get into the house proper. If there are 5 rooms in the house, each of the rooms have an idol. God is saying, the presence of these things in your house, they bring defilement, they bring curses upon your house. And if you want to be free from the control of the devil, from the control of the marine, you must be very radical in dealing with them. You must be very ruthless. No apologies, no diplomacy, no rationalization. Deal with them, destroy them, burn them with fire. Don't bring anything from them into your house. Very important step. Why am I saying this? There are people that think that they can cuddle with the devil. They can play along with the devil and still be safe. It's not true. Now look at Judges chapter 6, verse 25 and 26. This is God's instruction to Gideon. Judges 6:25. And it came to pass the same night that the Lord said unto Gideon, take your father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down, understand the word, or throw down the altar of Baal that your father has. Number 2, and cut down the groove that is by it. Verse 26, and build there an altar unto the Lord your God upon the top of this rock in the other place, and take the second bullock and offer a burnt sacrifice with wood of the groove which you have cut down. Now God made it very clear to Gideon, if you are going to be successful in carrying out the divine assignment that I have given to you, you must uproot that altar that your father has, that altar of Baal. Pull it down, destroy it completely. All the surrounding shrines and whatever beside it, cut them down, destroy them. And after they have been taken away, then with clear eyes, build an altar to the Lord. Some of you that have been deep in marine worship, what the Bible is saying is that you need to go back. Start from your house. Start from those altars in your father's house, those ones in your compound. Start from there. Don't be in a hurry to go to the community shrine. Going there straight might bring trouble to you. Concentrate on the shrines, on the altars in your father's house. By the time you are done with them, then as God gives you grace, an altar can be raised unto the Lord. Let us break at this point for an interlude of music and promo.
Lord, you're mighty. 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 Lord, Lord, you're mighty. 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 Lord, you're mighty.
If you stay in Port Harcourt and its environ, you are blessed of the Lord. The headquarters of our ministry, Burden Bearers Ministries, is located at number 6 BBM Close of kilometer 1.5 Iweche Road, through Eleme Junction here in Port Harcourt. There we are, doing the work of the kingdom, being a blessing to you and thousands of others. We are open to the public Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And every Monday, we have our program known as 60 Minutes with Jesus. It holds 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. Please be encouraged and be part of this program. God will use it to build you up for the new week. We are waiting for you this Monday. Just be with us at our ministry headquarters, and God bless you. Then on Tuesday this week, by God's grace, we are ready in the month of September, and God is doing great things. Before I say that, I want you to know that tomorrow is the end of the month of August. Tomorrow is Sunday 31st, and that tomorrow is our prophetic crossover night in the Burden Bearers Ministries. Prophetic crossover night. The time is 9 p.m. Please, we encourage you, be with us at the Burden Bearers Ministries. It is a night of testimonies, a night of praises and worship, a night of signs and wonders. Remember, the venue is number 6 BBM Close of kilometer 1.5 Iweche Road. Come, and God will bless you with great, amazing things. Then, as we enter into the month of September by Monday, on Tuesday, being the 2nd of September, at 10 a.m., we have our monthly deliverance service with the theme, O Lord, avenge me of my adversaries. O Lord, avenge me of my adversaries. It is our deliverance program, 10 a.m. in our auditorium. Come and invite others along with you, and God of heaven will do you good. Please take our telephone contact, 0803 741 6604. That is 0803 741 6604. The next number is 0803 33 933. That is 0803 33 933. You are welcome back. This message is coming to you on the bills of the Burden Bearers Ministries. This program is open to sponsorship. If God lays in your hearts to sponsor this program, if not, why not? You can get in touch with us and we'll tell you how. Any little contribution from you will go a long way to sustaining our vision and the purpose of God for our generation. You're welcome back. This message is coming to you through God's servant, Apostle Innocent Onyogazri Henry, the vision coordinator of the Burden Bearers Ministries Incorporated. Now, as we go to the second part of the message tonight, I want to read one more scripture before we start winding up. And that scripture is Ezekiel 26, verse 15 to 16. Ezekiel 26, verse 15. Thus saith the Lord God of Tyrus to Tyrus, shall not the isles shake at the sound of thy fall, when the wounded cry, when the slaughter is made in the midst of thee? Then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones, and lay away their robes, and put off their broidered garments. They shall clothe themselves with trembling. They shall sit upon the ground, and they shall tremble at every moment, and be astonished at thee. This scripture is God's judgment upon the marine kingdom. The land called Tyrus is a land dominated and ruled by the marine powers. It's a coastal land, and the marine powers have serious stronghold over this land. And God decided to bring his judgment upon the entire land, so that by that way, the stronghold of the marine will be uprooted. And God was asking a question that, look, you land known as Tyrus, when I will shake you, when I will shake you, when I will destroy you, the sound of your fall, will it not be heard all around? It will be heard all around. And all the people that depended on you, look at what it says in verse 16. Then all the princes of the sea, all the marine powers and strongholds in their confederacy, in their coalitions, in their strongholds over the lives of men and women, the Bible said they shall come down from their thrones, they shall be dethroned. God's intention in this season is to dethrone the powers of the marine and to set at liberty those that are ruled and controlled by it, including you. I mean you. You know what your experiences are. I don't know what you are waiting for. This is the time of your deliverance. God offers you great opportunity to be delivered. It is up to you. Deliverance is not by force. You may have your reasons while you are still romancing with the marine and all the rest of them. But our responsibility in burden bearers ministries, with God's resources in our hands, is to bring you the messages that will enhance deliverance to you and make you a candidate of God's kingdom. We are waiting for you. There are also other ministries and ministers that are genuine, where you can obtain your deliverance from the powers of the marine. You can go there if coming to burden bearers is far away for you. But I want to let you know, you should not wait a minute longer in the kingdom of darkness, because God's judgment is already pronounced on the marine kingdom. Don't be caught together with Satan at the season of judgment. You regret it forever. Now, as I bring this series to an end, I want to give you a final admonition. And I want to plead with you, my beloved. Take these admonitions seriously. Number one, believing that you are truly desirous to be free from the marine kingdom. You need to, number one, be careful with those you keep company with. It is not everybody that should be your friend. There are unfriendly friends. There are agents of darkness. There are some people that as long as you relate with them, you cannot love God. You cannot serve God. As long as they are close to you, they will keep keeping you down, suppressing you. You'll be going deeper and deeper into the marine. They will lure you into indecent dressing and other things that keeps you in conformity with the marine. Cut off from such people. Number two, be very careful with the churches that you attend. Be careful with the ministries that you patronize. Whether you're a full-time member or you're a visitor. You may say, man of God, what are you talking about? Is there anything wrong with going to church? No, I didn't say to that. I belong to a church. Is there anything wrong going to ministries? I also said, no, I run a ministry. But I must tell you the truth as an insider. Some churches are agencies of the kingdom of the marine. Some churches and ministers are extension of the marine kingdom, of the queen of the coast, of the Mami water and the Papi water. And as long as you go there, you have carried bullets. Some of them dress up in several garments. It's for you to discern them. And most of them are usually located proximal to any nearby river. They usually build their thing close to a river source because their power is drawn from the rivers. They draw their power from the river. no matter how small the river is, they connect to the altar of the marine. And from there, they do all the kind of things they do. They make noise and they draw souls to the kingdom of darkness. Again, I must admonish you, destroy all images linking you to the marine initiations. At those times you were initiated, some of them, they gave you white garments, red garments, this garment and the other one. They gave you some concussions that you kept in your house. They gave you some staff of office and all the rest of them, and you kept it and you are parading yourself with several names. Some of you even answer senior apostle and all special apostle and all the rest of them, and you deceive yourselves, not knowing, or rather intentionally keeping yourself bound in the marine. Destroy those things and get yourself out. The Bible says, come out from amongst them. Another thing I must advise you, beware of foods, the foods and beverages that you are linked to, that you drink. You know, I was shocked the day I checked the meaning of the drink called Sprite, Spirite, and I discovered that it has something to do with the marine. I shouted. I said, wow, marine? Hey, the day I checked the meaning of a company known as ELF, that's the name of the company, and I discovered it has to do with the marine. I say, my God, can you see Satan's wickedness and intelligence? How people are robbed and destroyed for working in a particular place, because a company belongs to the marine, and whatever and whosoever that works there comes under demonic marine initiations and strongholds. And when you drink and eat some of those things that are coming from the marine, which with their names clearly written on them, even though you may not understand, you are roped in. That's why you need to be careful. Again, you need to fight back at any time that you sense marine interference in your life, even after you have gone through deliverance, whether in your dream or otherwise. You need to stand in the place of battle against the evil forces of the marine kingdom. And finally, you need counseling and continuous prayers. May I say this? If you have not given your life to Christ, the starting point is that you must be born again. Whatever prayer you pray and the efforts you make, and you have not surrendered to Christ, you have not started. Jesus is knocking at the door of your heart tonight. Open to him as he comes in. He changes the narrative, and your life will begin afresh. As you do this, may the God of heaven bless you. Remember, our telephone lines are open for you to call, ask your questions, and possibly visit our office for further counseling, prayers, and deliverance for yourself, your family, your community. May God bless you as you do this. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, as we bring this message to a close, I just want to still encourage you to be part of what God is doing with us in the Burden Bearers Ministries. In this week, we're just entering. God is set to do great and amazing things in your life. On Thursday, which is the 4th of September, we have our mentoring and discipleship fellowship. And the topic is understanding God's move in this dispensation, part 1. We encourage you to be part of it. The time is 10 a.m. Please take again our telephone contacts: 0803 33 88 933. That is 0803 33 88 933 and 0803 741 6604. That is 0803 741 6604. Till we come your way next week, it is I, God's servant, Apostle Innocent Onyogasri Henry. Remain blessed.
Because he lives, I can face tomorrow.
Okay, all right. All you need to know about this one is that
95.1 FM. Such a unique dial.
Port Harcourt, are you ready? Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Hardball.
There are over 150 million people in Nigeria, and that makes 150 million and more arguments. Some agreeing and others opposing on Hardball. Every Saturday,
8:30 and 9:30
p.m. We bring the strongest opposing arguments into our studios, and we take the gloves off. Don't want to miss the debate on Today 95.1 FM, 95.1 FM, the people.
Good evening, listeners, and you are very officially welcome to Hardball this week. Hardball is indeed a program that takes up an issue, dissects it, takes up the silence, and throw away the insolence. But you know the difficulty, what may be silent to you or to one may be insolent to the other. And so we always say that people listen very attentively to whatever is going or being debated in Hardball. It is indeed a mature debate wherein the participants will represent their positions. Very profusely they will speak in defense of their positions. And that is exactly what is going to happen today. Most recently, because not long ago, Chief Obasanjo, the former president of Nigeria, came out to say that Nigeria has become divided more than ever before. And that sparked up arguments upon argument, conversations here and there, with some agreeing, others disagreeing. Which camp do you belong? Of course, you know yourself. But here in the studio, we have two analysts who are seated in the studio who are ready to fire in defense of their positions. One for, the other against that Chief Obasanjo's position. Notwithstanding whatever the people working for government has said, or even the president of the nation, the fact is that Hardball has taken it upon itself to find out at least the pulse of people. And so as they speak, you listen to them. Now, we are going to embark on a short break. After this particular break, we introduce our guests and move on with the program. Join us when we come back.
Hardball.
There are over 150 million people in Nigeria, and that makes 150 million and more arguments. Some agreeing and others opposing on Hardball. Every Saturday,
8:30 and 9:30
p.m. We bring the strongest opposing arguments into our studios, and we take the gloves off. Don't want to miss the debate on Today 95.1 FM, 95.1 FM, the people.
Welcome back to Hardball. The theme of Hardball this week is Nigeria more divided now than ever before? The two analysts we have in the studio that are going to slug it out are Lord Asher Frank, who is a monarch, head of the media office of Obaji Teke. Am I right, Asher Frank? Ubaiteke. Ekpeye Cultural Heritage. Publisher and leader of the Bridge Organization Global. Lord Asher Frank, you are warmly welcome to Hardball this week.
It's my delight to be here. I'm always delighted to be here, and I think this Hardball will be very hard indeed. I promise that.
And Lord Asher Frank will be saying no, that Nigeria, well, whether it has never been divided or is divided at the same level for him, he will going to tell us. We are going to learn from him. On the other side, we have Barrister Arochukwu Obonna Paul, who incidentally is the National Coordinator, Civil Rights Council. Barrister Arochukwu, you are warmly welcome to Hardball this week.
Thank you, listeners. Thank you very much.
And Barrister Bonna will be saying that, yes, every facet of Nigeria is divided more than ever before. Don't stand in the way of anybody. Give them your maximum attention and listen to them. We want to roll off with Lord Asher Frank, who is saying that Nigeria is not more divided now than before. Lord Asher Frank, you have that position that Nigeria, perhaps whether it's the same before or the same throughout for you, and our listeners want to be taught. They are very much keen. They want to listen to you. Could you roll off in educating them?
Thank you very much. I want to be very historical in this discourse today because the Nigerian elite always behaves as if Nigeria starts today. The Nigerian elite is not historically dialectical. And that is why the Nigerian elite is not well positioned in building a nation state. Perhaps because they never had an experience of doing one. Nigeria is a very old society. I'm not one of those who celebrate Nigeria as though Nigeria started in 1960. No, it did not. Before 1960, Nigeria already had about 4 constitutions. This same Nigeria. We were here when then Governor Rotimi Bikamechi celebrated 100 years of Port Harcourt. If he has decided to celebrate Ahoda, it would have been about 200 years or even more. And that is the same Nigeria we are talking about. So I don't know how a country will have a Nigerian elite will make a country have 2 bad days, 2 celebrations of virtually everything, and they think they are right. No. The problem of the Nigerian state is not like the Nigerian state has ever been divided. Never. What has happened is that a very lazy elite have always thrown up issues to look as if the people are divided, playing one group against the other, playing one religion against the other, in order to position themselves in positions of leadership with the singular purpose of wanting to loot the state for their private use. The problem, the beginning and the end, is the Nigerian elite. First, if we want to go into the story of what happened after the Union Jack was lowered and the green flag was hoisted, Nigeria had no division whatsoever. Everything began in Lagos. In that Lagos, Abad Macaulay was a Yoruba. Nnamdi Azikiwe was Igbo. They were all there. They did everything they did. They took the positions they took. There was no division. When did division come? Division came, what you call division, if at all it existed, was a quest for the elite to dominate power. And they are not doing so by providing ideas of governance to the people. They do so by throwing up sentiments such that in so doing they will have followership. What are the sentiments? I'm a Christian, the other man is a Muslim. They get a gang. The other man is Igbo, the other man is a Jaw. They get a gang. If Nigeria is divided, we will not live the way we are living in this country. And again, let me add, Nigeria has never had a history of not wanting those who want to leave Nigeria to live. No. Nigeria only have a history of not allowing anybody to live in Nigeria that wants to annex another people to themselves. South Cameroon left. Nobody shot a gun. In fact, Bakassi left yesterday. They didn't even say they want to leave. They don't wake up one morning and they have left. They were oil rich. So, what were the divisions? Who were the dividers? Nigerians loved themselves. Nigerians loved their country. Nigerians pray that their country should be better than the best country in the world because they love their country. The quest of Nigerians is for their country to be one of the best in the world. That is the quest of Nigerians. They demand so much from a leadership that is inept, from an elite that is not focused, from a so-called civilized class that is kleptomaniac, squandermaniac, and very unfocused and unfit for governance and for leadership. When those elites have lost it and they want to continue to perpetuate themselves in power, they create impressions that look as if Nigerians are killing themselves on the streets. Why they were not? If somebody who is not living in Nigeria listening to the average Nigerian elite, he would think that the streets of Nigeria are deserted. They are not. They are not. We are here. We live freely here. We marry freely here. We boyfriend, girlfriend freely here. Everybody, we build houses in different places here. We trade in different markets here. So what is exactly the definition of the division that Obasanjo is talking about? Is because what unites the Nigerian elite is looting of public treasury, corruption. And when you have a regime that locks the votes, the Nigerian elite goes haywire. And that's what they're doing. What are they looking for? If presidential jet is moving from one place to the other, to be carrying some elders to government house and they're giving them fat contracts and fat envelopes, Nigeria will be very, very united. I disagree with them.
Well, this is a very interesting topic. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a topic that speaks for itself. That Nigeria is divided now than ever is obvious and certain. For the past 6 years or more, Nigerian politics have undergone terrible structural adjustments and changes. There have been an increment now than ever before in the rise of separatist militant movements across the country. Not just separatist militant movements, but separatist militant movements that speak ethnic languages, that speak religious and tribal languages, that want to separate from the country, but more than separate from the country, that is making it difficult for national discourses, national discussions, and not the polity to enjoy peace and stability. You can see the Boko Haram activities. You can see the activities of herdsmen. You can see the activities of IPOB. These are organizations that share religious and ethno-religious backgrounds, and that are singing different songs from whatever song or from whatever mindset or ideology being conveyed by the central government. And you are seeing that those organizations, religious people and ethnic members of different ethnic groups, seem to join to reinforce them, seem to use them to state their own position and view. So for you to see the division and crisis in the Nigerian politics is to view and look at critically the existence of these organizations. View their activities and see the reactions very Nigerians have over the activities. So you see a situation whereby some Nigerians speak for their ethnic group. Even within some ethnic groups, crises exist within and among themselves, speaking differently, that they cannot even come up, they cannot even come forward to state a peculiar and a particular position. We agree that the ruling class in every epoch and time determine the trend of politics. But of course, the division that exists within the ruling class, their antics to win power, to win state power, their disposition, idiosyncrasies and tendencies with which they maneuver themselves, makes their followers or people at the background to view national politics and opinion from those various dimensions. And it is that is making it difficult to now have a focused national ideological viewpoint. And therefore the attitude of the ruling class itself generates and reinforces the crisis. And that crisis cascades down to their followers, which is the ordinary Nigerians, making them difficult to speak in a unified tone. For instance, a policy was being made in this country to resettle herdsmen, to do ranching, to prevent violence, to see whether we can restrain the activities of these men. Now, some sections of the country are not even looking at the nitty-gritty of that thing, but they are trying to say, for your religious coloration, for your ethnic background, please don't even come close to our territory. In a nation where the economy of one region ought to reinforce the economy of the other region. In a nation where we are supposed to build a unified Nigerian economy. But in this instant case, voices rose, don't come close to our region. Don't come close to our region. That we don't have spaces for you. Now, how can a country be more divided than that? And these are opinion of the ruling class, speaking different tone, often speaking in defense of their various ethnic groups, and their ethnic groups trying to justify or trying to align behind them to an opinion. So the attitude of the ruling class, which like the signpost gives the average Nigerian the view of what politics is. And that conflict is what cascades down to bring the divided tendency, separatist tendency, divergence of opinion, not just divergence of opinion, but violent opinions, violent dispositions, violent inclinations, all targeted to establish a cocoon or a region or a territory that is unique to a particular social formation vis-a-vis others, challenging the very supreme power of the Nigerian state, thereby weakening the Nigerian state. So the divisions among Nigerians are within the domain of politics. And of course, evidence of this division, which gives birth to this recrimination, divergent opinion, can be seen in the blood, that the face of the nation is drenched in blood.
Thank you very much. First, let me state categorically here that I am still the group president of Movement for the Emancipation of Ekpe People and Movement for the Advancement of Odaga People, which is a core affiliate of the Bridge Organization Global, which I'm the leader. In that capacity, I was in Environmental Rights Action / Friends of the Earth. I was in Chikoko Movement. I was in Oil Watch International. I know that when I attended the meeting where I was shocked, a meeting that was supposed to have radical thinkers in the Niger Delta, then in Bomadi, under President Olusegun Obasanjo, I got to that meeting only to discover that the meeting has been hijacked by some persons and was used to deliver what they now call a Niger Delta Republic. Right there on the ground in Bomadi, I told them that my people from Ahoda are not part of this. If your job people want a Niger Delta Republic, count us out. Because you don't come and ambush me, you don't invite me to a program without discussing with my people and you announce a republic. That was under Obasanjo. I was also in a meeting in Abeokuta where a similar thing happened with the declaration of Oduduwa Republic. And there were newspapers on the meeting grounds with banner headlines. What is IPOB if not an outshoot of MASOB? Ralph Wazirike sent his boys to go and carry my Secretary General in the night in Ahoda. They blindfolded him. I was in Lagos attending the meeting that purportedly Oduduwa Republic was pronounced. They blindfolded him. They told him his friend want to, they told him a story of a friend. He entered inside the car, got to the way, he was blindfolded. Talking to a destination, they gave him paper to sign in the name of my group representing Ahoda. He signed, only for us to discover this document in Punch newspapers. I rushed back to Ahoda. I went and made the air commander at that time, and I dissociated my people and my group from such a letter, and I told them that my Secretary General did not sign willy-nilly. He did not. He was coerced to doing so. That was MASOB. All this I'm telling you was under President Obasanjo. So, I am very, very pleased. I'm delighted that my colleague have said what he calls division or more division within a Nigerian state is within the domain of politics. That answers all the whole question. You lose an election, you go to your village, you become an ethnic champion. You begin to look at every policy of the government of the day that won a democratic election within the prism of your sentimental petty mindset. And you think because you're doing so, because you can shout in the media, because I come to the media, I can now make inflammatory statements, and you think that the people of Ahoda are with me because it is me who have access to the media. No, it's not. If it is true, when you are making those statements and issuing those communications in those hotels where you used to hold those meetings, you are people who have been evacuated from different parts of the country. They are buying land and building houses and marrying wives and making girlfriends and boyfriends. So they are not listening to you. They are not. Don't even deceive yourself. They are not. Come and present yourself in an election situation in your village if you will pass. A lot of them exist in Abuja. A lot of them exist in Lagos. They don't go home. They don't. So the political representation, that is why I love the word that Femi Adesina used for them. He said they are wailing wailers. These groups we are calling, and you are giving them political character. All of them are known PDP card carriers who lost election in 2015 and lost another one yesterday. And we lose another one in 2023 definitely, because they're not playing politics, they're busy making noise. And politics is arithmetic. It's not noise. We are all in the communities, living with our people, playing the politics. They are all in Abuja issuing press statements and thinking that Nigeria is divided. Who told them so? We saw the mess they did in the SARS riot. We saw the mess. We thought that these are responsible people. that could give a contrary leadership. We thought so. We saw names of people who are always in the media, who were always making statements, and we thought that these are people that could be looked upon tomorrow. We saw it, and we saw how they could not produce leadership in 14 days. They led the country to chaos. We saw it. So it is not noise. It is your capacity. If it is the political body language of election losers that Obasanjo caused division of Nigeria, I am very disappointed, because even he himself, with his political experience, ought to know that is not division. Because those people you are talking about, those people are what they consider as their followership is suspect. The man who says he's speaking for the whole Niger Delta, people don't know him. No, they don't know him. And my area is the largest single oil and gas producing zone in the whole country. We don't know Edwin Clark. So how is it speaking for my people?
In Africa, politics is a means of production. And as they say, it's ubiquitous. You cannot discuss this topic without going into the realm of politics. Now, if in a situation whereby I live in a community, we are not evacuating, there is no crisis in that community. But there are many communities in Nigeria that have been sacked by violent movements, and they're evacuating. And those people scatter across the country, and they constitute nuisance. And that in itself is a mark of division. In fact, in some community, apart from movement from one region to the other caused by militant violent movement that makes people to evacuate, and there are even those people being sacked from their villages, from their ancestral homes by militant movements, that itself speaks for itself, and that itself is a language, that itself is an opinion. It shows how frustrations arising out of politics, frustrations arising out of maladministration and political corruption has cascaded down to the grassroots and is causing trouble. Now, in a situation whereby a man says that a group of people made a political presentation and they are not representing my people, and therefore you do not expect me to hold on to it, that is itself a mark of division, because you have disagreed with the person. And we are talking of issues that have to do with ethnic formations here. And a man who represents an ethnic group, for instance, and who holds a position within that ethnic association, and who holds a position different from the one another held, it's a mark of division, because what you are trying to say is that you can, and what the position you held will be taken to be the position of that group you are representing. Because one, you are a political force there, you occupy a political position there, and now you have disagreed with another man who held a similar position from another group. There is already a difference. There is no way, again, we'll assess. We can't go interviewing the high power, the common people across the streets. Your disagreements there represents your opinion there. You are talking in favor of your people, and therefore there is already a disagreement, and such is common across the federation. Today you see it's Arewa, and the country in Arewa. Northern youths give quick notice to the Igbos. Igbos do counter quick notice to Northern youths. These are Nigerians expressing, and these quick notices and such things are life issues, because often they are accompanied with palpable tension, fear, and conflicts. So this cannot be negated. Now, if you come and say that, for instance, Arochukwu lost an election and therefore starts making trouble all over the place, and possibly when I'm making trouble over the place, my supporters join me to make the trouble, some other person who won the election will not allow himself and his supporters to be overwhelmed by my supporters, knowing fully well we have lost the election, and therefore they will definitely join issues with us. Communicate and counter-communicate. Conference meeting and counter-conference meetings. How again do you want to see dissatisfaction and frustration within the system? Because if there were no such disagreement, these political reactions and opinions is there. And again, historically in Nigeria, at any point in time in Nigeria has never, political divisions has been so much, only that in recent times we can say that it has been reinforced. For instance, look at what happened in the House of Representatives during the motion for self-government. They not, in fact, at the height of Inauro's motion, they not had to walk out, and they were booed by Lagos crowd, and they vowed never to return to the north. Look at the crisis that followed the census prior to the second report, the crisis that followed the census in 1964. Look at the crisis that erupted, that eventually metamorphosed into a civil war, when everybody thought that Nigeria would not make it any longer. Now look at the election of the Second Republic and the crisis attendant upon it. Look at the emergent issues as soon as the democratic dispensation came in 1999, where there were ethnic wars and violence, killings and disruption. War between the Hausa people and a community in Lagos. War, the massacre and killing of Igbo businessmen and traders in Kaduna. And the attendant reactions that come from, look at the Niger Delta crisis and the activities of militancy. And the various opinion being exchanged across the board. The pressure the political leaders have been put through and their own their own body language and kind of politics and how it has created crisis. What we are just saying is that in recent times, these things seem to have cascaded, it seems to have increased, it seems to have intensified at a level that even the government cries out that it's under pressure. At a level that even the security agencies can no longer condone. Okay, look at the recent NSAS movement, wherein some people are talking about police brutality, which is a fact that speaks to all of us. And some other people are saying that the intent or the attitude of this thing is to collapse the government of the federation because a man from a particular part of the country is the president. But the question is there brutality? If there is brutality, has it taken tolls on Nigerians? Do they have the right of protest? Whatever subsequently happened on the protest is unfortunate and is condemnable. But you see, there is a diversion of opinion. That instead one person will see that these men are brutal, they are violent, this policing is primitive and a cake. He is rather interpreting it politically. In other words, there was a total disconnect in an attempt to build a general worldview on this issue, trying to tackle a problem that is well established. Rather, it was giving political coloration, and people from the northern part of the country started speaking differently. People from the east and the south started speaking differently. Doesn't that express the extent of frustration and division in the country?
Well, it is time we go on a short break, and after this particular break, Lord Usher Frank will continue in espousing his position to the august listenership that indeed there is no division in Nigeria more than before. Join us when we come back.
Hardball.
See, you know one good thing.
There are over 150 million people in Nigeria, and that makes 150 million and more arguments. Some agreeing and others opposing on Hardball every Saturday,
8:30 and 9:30
p.m. We bring the strongest opposing arguments into our studios, and we take the gloves off. Don't want to miss the debate on Today 95.1 FM, 95.1 FM, the people.
Welcome back to Hardball. The theme is Nigeria more divided now than before? And one person who says no to that particular conversation is Lord Usher Frank. However, Lord Usher Frank, you've been saying very well that no division at all. In your own view, Nigeria has been the way it's been, but perhaps a lazy elite, according to using the exact word you used, has been orchestrating one problem after they lost elections and all that. But Barrister Arochukwu has been giving you what could be termed an uppercut, telling you that indeed, whether it's those who lost election or whatever, but there have been strange eruptions of political movements and all that. All these things, because of lack of unity and cohesion, have been occurring in the society of Nigeria. Perhaps you are warming up to say, let us wrap up this debate that Barrister Arochukwu has won. Is that what you are thinking? Tell us if you are talking about differently.
Thank you very much. You see, first, one of the cornerstones of this administration was to fight corruption. And what unites Nigeria, if I will use that word for the want of a better language, what unites Nigeria is corruption of the elite. The moment the elite can share Nigerian resources across political divides, there is peace and unity. So, the very concept of fighting corruption was what made so many people never gave a General Buhari a chance to win a democratic election in Nigeria. They never gave him a chance. Because they said, this thing you are preaching, it will not work here. And he consistently stood on that purpose. And when you say you are fighting corruption, what exactly is the cornerstone of fighting corruption? It's rule of law. You have to respect the rule of law and due process. That is the fundamental of fighting corruption. Not necessarily recovering money. is to ensuring that the source upon which money can be siphoned in the first instance does not exist. Within the concept of the rule of maintenance of the rule of law and due process is constitutionality. What you call ethnic cleavages and their so-called champions is unconstitutional. There's nowhere in the Nigerian constitution that ethnic group is recognized. What is recognized in the constitution is constituencies. Elections are based on constituencies. Secondly, this we are not South, which is an abuse of English language brought by Abacha, which level of education is suspect. Does not exist. It doesn't exist. There's nothing like not South, it is whatever. It doesn't exist. So the so-called geopolitical zones, which the elites are using ethnicity and geopolitical zone instead of constituencies as basis of pursuing whatever they need from government within the context of quota system and federal character. It's not correct. So if you are fighting corruption, you put your feet down and ensure that those things that are not constitutional are not given the character that certain elites who think that those are the areas upon which they can survive uses. Then, let me state clearly here that it is within the norms of democratic practice for every individual to exercise the right to hold a thought. The fact that my thinking and your thinking is not the same does not tantamount to division in a democratic dispensation. The fact that you have a contrary view to me does not necessarily mean there's a cleavage in state. In fact, it is agreeable constitutionally that every person is entitled to his opinion, but the majority opinion must prevail, especially in a voting system and in parliament. So that you don't agree with me in this studio does not mean that you don't see my friend. Yeah, my friend, we can still drink together, go everywhere together. But you have a different opinion. I have a different opinion. It is within the norms of democratic practice to be. Those are not divisions. And again, there's something that baffles me. The Nigerian elite is always very quick to mention the doctor histories to suit their circumstances. When they talk of who walks out here, who walks out there, of course. Today, the North that walked out from agreeing to an Enahoro declaration, are they more united today than you, the South, who is very sharp in wanting the independence at that time? Somebody has his own thinking, and he feels that I am more organized the way I am. I can live with this system a little more longer. You say you want to go, no. You, okay, finally it was agreed. You now agree to go. You and the people that said we shouldn't go, no. Are you as formidable as they are? Who is more correct and who is wrong? After so many years down the line. You see, the doctor history to suit their circumstances. And again, let me state clearly again here. That you see, as a stance, let us also be able to mention the high points of our nation building, not only the low points.
Well, we want him back on another short break, and after this particular break, Barrister Arochukwu Ogbonna indeed will profusely be backing his positions to our august listenership that there is more division in Nigeria now than before, in agreement with Chief Obasanjo's postulation, supported by Wole Soyinka. Join us when we come back.
Hardball.
See, you know one good thing. There are over 150 million people in Nigeria, and that makes 150 million and more arguments. Some agreeing and others opposing on Hardball. Every Saturday,
8:30 and 9:30
p.m. We bring the strongest opposing arguments into our studios, and we take the gloves off. Don't want to miss the debate on Today 95.1 FM, 95.1 FM, the people.
Welcome back to Hardball. Is Nigeria more divided now than before? That conversation has indeed been ravaging Nigeria, and a lot of people have said yes, others have said no. The question now in our studio, Today 95.1 FM, is which part of it do you support? That Nigeria is more divided than before? And one person who believes in such is Barrister Arochukwu Paul Ogbonna. Barrister Obona, you indeed have been espousing your positions variously that Nigeria is more divided now than before. But to Lord Asha Frank, who has indeed been ravaging you, as it were, has said, with points he's been assailing you, that no, it is the lazy elite that who frown upon defeat in elections, who, whenever they lose out from what they are supposed to get politically, that will stoke up problems here and there. And it doesn't mean that Nigeria is divided. Do you believe that what he's saying is true? And as a result, your knees maybe are becoming wobbly. And so you are rousing us up to end the debate in its favor. Tell us.
In Africa, politics is carried on the platform for political agitations. The platform for political aspirations is ethnic organizations, ethno-social formations. And those people massify to counteract their competitors from some other ethno formations. And of course, any interaction politically between such organizations brings conflict. Nigeria is no exception to it. We cannot put up the academic argument trying to exercise the ruling class or the elite from the masses, or trying to say that they create phantom reactions that will give the impression of division. Those phantom reactions, so to say, trickle down to their supporters. For instance, when communities begin to fight communities out of political expressions by the elite, are you now saying that the two political communities are united within the Nigerian state? Now, when Nigerians express violent opinions in hostility and antagonism, in fact, it got to a point that the government started tinkering with the idea of hate speech. Hate speech is opinions expressed, which in itself has violent implications or negative aspirations targeted against the other person, which is capable of triggering off crisis. The government has been managing what they call hate speech. Reactions to the hate speech law or position or policy of the government, nobody has agreed on it. Some people are saying, human rights are saying you want to gag the press, gag social media. The government is saying, look, we want to prove sanity to check what people say, that what people say with their mouth is causing problem for us. These are reactions from ordinary Nigerians out there on the street. So when you restrain and say it's the ruling class that creates, to me it's academic, because whatever the ruling class reacts, whatever reaction the ruling class makes, because every ruling class, you must agree with me, has a foundational root. In fact, the first movement, the first attempt, any ruling class, the so-called ruling class, which is found out in the business class, in the political class, in the religious class, their first constituency is at the local level. And even politically, it is the standard in political structures. You cannot go to be winning election in the state, in the local government, and whatever without having your word. And that is why when some of them succeed in winning election without having a grassroots support, they have a way of coercing the structure to co-opt to their political, either by the campaign or whatever, all in an attempt to get seriously involved with to go seriously involved at the grassroots. And such attempts generate crisis and disagreements. So, and again, at a point in an economy where, in a dislocated economy and dysfunctional economy, suffering from dislocation and disarticulation as we have it, politics is the main means of production. And then since practically everybody feeds through politics as an industry, and the resources may never go around at every point in time, there are bound to be negative reactions. And that was why I said earlier, you cannot situate this outside the domain of practical politics and the politics of the country and the Nigerian polity. So the division you can see across the Nigeria, you can see it across information, you can see it across religious groups, you can see it even in reaction to government appointments. There have been a lot of negative reactions over appointment by the central government. And you can see that certain regions are particular that we are not being given jobs, and the ones we have are even being taken away from us. And a certain region is trying to justify it and say, look, the jobs are being distributed across federal character. Some other people. And that already generates tension between regions. It generates tension between personalities. it is clear. I agree that Nigerians may not agree on every single government policy. But what you watch out for is not just that Nigerians disagree, but you check the words used in the disagreement, violent words, hostile, antagonistic. Then you now check the issue of warfare and crisis happening across the country, that the country is sleeping in blood. Now, what happened in Lekki? The reaction that followed, does it show a sign of unity?
Thank you very much. First, let me debunk the idea that politics in Africa is driven by ethnic formations. The classical history of African politics shows that the politics of North Africa was driven by radical, well-organized political movements that had no ethnic character. The transformation of the Southern African states was driven by radical political formations and organizations that had no ethnic character. When Mangosuthu Buthelezi wanted to bring an ethnic character with the Nkata Freedom Party in Southern Africa, he didn't make a success of it. He couldn't. It is only in part of Central Africa and in part of Western Africa where you have ethnic formations trying to have political character. And in those places, those ethnic formations tend to create unnecessary instability within the system. We saw in Central Africa how the promotion of ethnic character in politics led to genocide in Rwanda. We saw how in Nigeria here, the pursuit of ethnic politics led to the assassination of Alfred Rewani, led to the assassination of Ken Saro-Wiwa, led to the brutal killing of Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, led to the death of General Musa Yaradua, to General Shehu Yaradua. We saw how the introduction of ethnic politics in Nigeria led Obafemi Awolowo into prison for no offense of any kind. The introduction of ethnic politics in Nigeria led Nigeria into the first coup d'etat and eventually snowballed into a Nigerian war. There has been nowhere when ethnic character was introduced in former Yugoslavia, the country went into bunkers. Anywhere people retire into their tribal cocoons, you always have problems, and it is only elites who fail in business, in politics, in social life that always run into ethnic cocoons. Of course, you cannot go and make that and go to go and start playing ethnic politics now. You cannot now because he's doing well in business. You cannot go and tell Femi Otodola. He's a member of Afenifere. He doesn't have time for that. Look at the people who are in those places. Former government political office holders that think that it is their birthright to be sharing money. So they should not be sitting in the house and they'll be seeing a lot. And when they are not getting it, they go into their ethnic cocoons because they have no followership. Any politician who goes into his ethnic cocoon has no followership. He's claiming one that he doesn't have. If he has a followership, he will not. I will not return to my ethnic cocoon now because the Bridge Organization Global is formidable.
You see, we building value systems and expectations is one thing. Then what is real and obtainable in the society is another thing. Now, if a man makes expectations from government as a matter of right, and the man is not getting it, and the man chooses to foment trouble using a particular ethnic formation by telling them they are cheating you people in government, they are not giving you what is due you, they don't want to appoint you, and people rise up in expression of negative threats and words, or even take to the streets, or even begin to disrupt government through a volume of negative opinions or trying to cause physical violence. And some other person who is doing it in Rivers State, some other person is doing it in Sokoto, some other person, because these elements that are jobless and are making expectations on government are scattered across the field of the federation. So if those people rises up and there is divergence of thought, divergence of opinion, often resulting to violence and crisis, does not promote the unity of the country. does that speak of the unity of the republic? It shows how this unity can be engineered by individuals that have particular interests. And once they engineer it and it comes to limelight, there is crisis. Now, listen, even in North Africa, where you spoke of, or some other places you raised, when these issues are not ethnic or tribal, they are religious. Do your proper investigation. And again, like the man you cited in South Africa, you said the man attempted, but you can say what his attempt cost both him, cost himself, and cost his opponents. In fact, in talking about that man, we don't talk about him in light terms, because that particular issue became an issue that will have overturned all the successes the ANC has made for those number of years. Those political leaders, our agitators were in prison. You see the extent of disruption he caused in the system. You see how the man engineered the system and obviously created violence that was intractable. In fact, the international community had to step in. Now, are you now saying that because the man orchestrated it from the comfort of his palace, engineered it and snowballed it into the street, enabling the other people to come and react in defense of themselves, at that point in time, will you say the country is very, very united? Or will you say because one man created it and threw it out there and people are killing themselves, that it does not amount to violence, it does not amount to disunity? Or in that condition in South Africa, will any progress will have been made towards transformation from white rule? Of course, it's not possible. If you catapult that argument down to the surface of Nigeria, you will agree with me that violence, crisis, are not self-made. They are generated by elements within the system. It's the human interactions in the system that give that when we are assessing a particular social situation, we are merely interpreting human character, human behavior, which is expressed in relationships, social relationships. So that the fact that a certain elements in Nigeria, as he alludes, who are lazy, unproductive, who have failed, possibly past leaders, choose to recreate a system that flows them, and to that they need to trigger off crisis in the system. Will you not come and say that there is no crisis in the system, or rather say that that the country is united? Are we that the country is united under that condition? I do not think so. There is crisis. So you can see that there is a deliberate and conscious effort being made by elements from your own position, from your own point, to create confusion in the system, just for their own self-aggrandizement. And that thing catches fire, and the whole thing is start burning. And that is exactly what the issue here is in Nigeria. People have been fingered for sponsoring violent movement, for sponsoring organizations that have separatist tendencies, people that are that are aspiring for their own self-determination under a new state platform, not Nigeria. So with those individuals funding and sponsoring those people, and those people actually creating problems for us on the streets, creating insecurity, overwhelming our security agencies, and generating reactions. Will you now come and say that the country is united when a man from the north is being driven by the expression or reacts to the expression of the man from the east? Then the man from the Niger Delta raises his own expressions, attacking the same system, and there are reactions. Such cacophony of voices, such reactions generated within the Nigerian political space. Will you now say that under this condition that we are united? The answer is no. The country is disunited.
I don't know what we are discussing really. Are we discussing whether Nigeria is divided, more divided, or what are we discussing? So, a sovereign state with defense and security architecture will sit down and allow some dubious elite to be sponsoring crisis, and that is division. As far as I'm concerned, the meaning of that is that you are engaged in treason, and there's a punishment for that. That has nothing to do with division, as far as I'm discussing here. That you are an armed robber creating problem in the street, that's division within the state. How does that become a division within the state? That's the job of the security to track you just down. That you are a political whatever you call yourself somewhere, and you are sponsoring treasonable offenses, and they see you. Who are you? That's the job of the security and defense architecture, to put you where you're supposed to belong. Behead you if necessary, if the judiciary makes such a pronouncement. When you constitute yourself into a nuisance within a sovereign state, it's the duty of that sovereign state through its necessary apparatus to put you where you belong. That is not a matter of division. As my understanding of division is that people within a particular confines are not comfortable with each other within that confines. That's my understanding of division. Are people within such confines comfortable with themselves? I don't even expect that politics will come into this discourse. What I was looking at is, are Nigerians living together? And the question is, and the answer is yes. Nigerians are living together. So who are the people creating problem in Nigeria? You're saying it is political elites that are creating problem, if there's any. And what is the problem they are creating? Okay, if you do something you don't get, you go to your ethnic group and you bring them to the street. The police should arrest you and put you somewhere. If the police is not doing that, if I know such people, I'll petition so that the police will put them somewhere. Because you constitute a nuisance for the people. If everything we all needed, we use that process, will any person be living in this country? If you think you can live in that kind of a situation, you go and live in the Hobbesian state of nature. This is a society that is programmed by law. You need something that you can't get, you put people on the street. Who are you? Did your father from a country here that you can come and do that rubbish here? You're a political what? Which background did you come from? That you think if you want to become a minister, you cannot put people on the street? If you think everybody can put people on the street? I can put 500,000 naira and put people on the street to get something to do. That is irresponsible. That is not my definition of division. No, it's not. That is rascality of individuals who should be dealt with according to the law without respect for anybody. So, as far as I am concerned, Nigerians are comfortable with themselves. What Nigerians want is a better society. Nigerians demand so much from their elite, and the elite are disappointing them. And that disappointment from the elite, because of fraud and corruption, does not tantamount to a division of the Nigerian people. No. It is because there's an answer to it. There's an answer to it. If the people that are given responsibilities cannot deliver, that is why we needed democracy. In elections, you change them and try other people until you get to a point, we get it right. In order not to get to the Hobbesian state of nature, we use democratic process. We argue. We put counter opinion. We go into the streets constructively, not destructively. We go into the ballot boxes constructively, not we discipline ourselves and give people the impression that we can do something differently. And when that happens, society becomes like a snake that changes its skin and gets better. That is my understanding of nation building. That's my understanding of societal growth and development. That to me, that some people that ought to be respected have decided to constitute themselves into rascals because they want to feed on the Nigerian state does not constitute the division within the Nigerian state. Thank you very much.
Talking about ideals and expectations in a situation where they are far from is not being realistic. To talk about Nigeria without the politics of Nigeria is a sheer waste of time. Everything revolves around politics. Now, the attitude, let me reiterate. What we are discussing is principally within the realm of human relations, interactions. And in human relations, political relations is fundamental and primary, because that is what drives every other relation, be it economic or religious. Because that is where the resource of the state or the entire state system and apparatus is being placed, discussed, dissected, and resources allocated. And the allocation of the resources is the politics. It will be difficult to say that Nigerians are comfortable with themselves. In fact, Nigerians are suspicious of themselves. So suspicious of themselves that you stay in a community for 20 years and somebody still refers to you as a stranger at the primary level. Or some other person will call you a non-indigenous. When the same constitution we are talking about have given you certain basic rights and privileges you ought to enjoy as a Nigerian. But in reality, somebody is saying you are a stranger, and by virtue of social relations, by virtue of social formations, by virtue of interactions, mindset, ideology, then you will not get that thing you want, or which constitution has given to you. Of course, that gives room for dissatisfaction. So that already debunks the fact to say Nigerians are happy with themselves. And often Nigerians are not, some of these treatments are given to people because the resources is not enough. The resources cannot go around, and people are trying to appropriate what they have for themselves. So the expression, you can only know how divided the country is when issues of national opinion comes. That instead of people looking at issues of national opinion from the point of view of state policy and the welfare of Nigeria, people reason from the point of view of their ethnic groups. They reason from the point of view of their religion. By just of the point of, in fact, a suspect is arrested to be tried, and people begin to say it's because it's from this ethnic group, it's because it's not from this ethnic group, and the issue of whether the man committed the offense or not is not being put into focus. That is to tell you the extent of division. So you can note this division in opinion, you know this division in reactions. Whether people who are dissatisfied, whether it is being generated by individuals for their own self-aggrandizement or otherwise, is secondary. What is primary is that what is put out there on the street, which we see, which we experience, which we feel every other day, gives room for worry. That one will begin to say, where is the face of Nigeria? Where is the face of a new Nigeria? Where are we heading to? If this is our interpretation, if this is our understanding of ourselves, and this is the attitude with which we want to build our country. So this fact speaks for itself, and they need not be over. And as I said before, we cannot discuss these issues without going into the domain of policies and looking at individual actors. Those actors and the attitude generate the reactions or behaviors that give rise to opinion and subsequently condition human relations.
Well, this is exactly where it all comes down for hardball this week. Indeed, this is where the curtain falls for it. We thank very profusely our two analysts who have indeed stuck to their positions and have debated and stuck to them till the end. That's what makes a constructive debate, because you believe in an issue, you talk on that issue, no matter the way your opponents will drag you around, but you stick to your guns, and that's exactly what they have displayed here. And for that, we say a big thank you to Lord Frank, who incidentally is a monarch and head of the media office of Obaiteke Ekpeye Cultural Heritage, publisher and leader of the Bridge Organization Global. Lord Frank, thank you very much for making our time to come for hardball this week.
I hope I justified my promise that this hardball will be hard indeed. Thank you very much.
Well, remember the team that Lord Frank and Barrister Arochukwu were discussing on is Nigeria, more divided now than before. Even though they didn't talk about one aspect in terms of insurrections and all that, which of course has seemed to be climbing higher than before, because like I have said severally, being the umpire of hardball will not allow me to express my position here. However, they have done justice to it. And for that, again, we are thanking Barrister Arochukwu Obonna Paul, who incidentally is the National Coordinator, Civil Rights Activist, for making out time from his busy schedule to come to do justice to hardball in the studios of Today 95.1 FM. Barrister Arochukwu, thank you very profusely.
Listeners, I'm eternally grateful. I hope to be here anytime to analyze issues as they come. Thank you very much.
I am Emmanuel Ondukwe, the anchor for hardball, saying, well, this evening, listen from 7 o'clock, you certainly will hear this hardball. However, our August listeners, we can't forget you, because without you we wouldn't be here. We can't also forget Enoch, who has indeed made it a possibility for us to produce this particular hardball. Until next time, that's next week, Saturday, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and join us at hardball. Bye-bye.
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people.
Hello, this is the BBC World Service. I'm Harriet Gilbert. Welcome to World Book Club, the programme where you get to ask top authors questions about their books. And the book we've chosen this month is a novel called The Trees, a satire on American racism that succeeds in being simultaneously urgent, shocking and hilarious. And here to answer questions about it from BBC listeners around the world is its internationally award-winning American author, Percival Everett. Percival, welcome to World Book Club.
Oh, well, thank you for having me here.
You're over here in London mainly to promote your new novel, James, which is, I think it's your 24th novel.
I'm not certain. I haven't counted.
Well, I'm not surprised you've lost count, but I'm just amazed that you can do that, because as well as writing fiction, you teach, you write short stories as well as novels, you write for children.
I've written one book for children, and that was more an accident than anything.
What, you mean it was meant to be for adults?
No, it was. I never meant to write a book to publish.
Well, the novel of Percival Everett's we're talking about today is the Booker Prize shortlisted The Trees. Set in rural Mississippi, it opens with a mysterious death. A local white man called Wheat Bryant is discovered not only murdered and horribly mutilated, but with an unknown dead black man beside him. And if that isn't mystery enough, shortly after, Wheat's cousin is found in his toilet, similarly murdered, and in there with him not just a dead black man, but the very same one. How on earth did he get there? What's going on? The local police, who in any case aren't the brightest, are understandably flummoxed. So to the rescue come a couple of wisecracking black cops from the city, followed, as similar baffling murders mount up around the country, by an officer from the FBI. Between them, can they work out what's happening? And are they being helped or hindered by Dixie, the waitress, or by ancient Mama Z? There is one clue. As the cops from the city eventually discover, way back in the 1950s, the fathers of the first two victims tortured and lynched a 14-year-old black boy a white woman had accused of disrespecting her, and got away with it scot-free. Well, Percival Everett, I think time now for our first question for you. This one comes from Cecilia in Italy, who rang this into the programme.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Lavappa from Italy, in the city of Milan, and the founder of Contorniti Noir, a thriller book review and interview site. Thank you very much, Mr. Everett, for your time. There are many books on racism. Much more rarely, we heard about lynching in novels. Why did you choose to describe racism this way?
Well, I think lynching is Cecilia's pronunciation of lynching, but the question is, why did you decide to use lynching as a lens through which to look at racism more generally?
Well, I'm not certain that I was using lynching as an avenue to discuss racism, that it's a necessary byproduct of discussing lynching. I chose lynching because it's a horrendous crime that is not perpetrated any less now than it was some 150 years ago.
People do absolutely think of it as something that happened back in the day, don't they?
Yes, and perhaps it's the term lynching itself. I view the police killings of young people of color as every bit a lynching as those that happened in the turn of the 19th century.
I suppose the image of killing by lynching that most people will have is the picture of a black man usually hanged from a tree, which I assume is one reason at least for your title of your book being The Trees.
Yes.
Also something to do with the fruits of evil, something like that?
Well, there's a song that was performed by Billie Holiday. It's called Strange Fruit. The strange fruit, of course, being the bodies of black men hanging from trees.
Well, thank you very much. And the specific lynching to which lies at the roots of this novel didn't in fact involve hanging. It was a equally ghastly murder of a real young boy called Emmett Till back in 1956, I think it was. I mean, it's a real case.
It was a real case. A young boy, a teenager, was accused of either whistling or making a remark to a white woman. Her husband and her brother-in-law then killed this young man and so brutalized his body that he was unrecognizable. His mother quite courageously had his body visible at his funeral as an open casket, and she did this in spite of the government asking her not to. But she wanted the world to see what racism, what white people had done to her son.
And his story, the story of his murder and torture, was very much at the forefront of the civil rights movement that ensued, wasn't it?
Well, certainly, but it became an iconic symbol of lynching because it was so visible, because this young boy's body was so visible to the culture. Photographs of it in national newspapers and magazines. So it became an emblem of this awful practice that hardly stopped after this happened, but was certainly quite... in fact, and from the offices of the NAACP, the National Association for Advancement of Colored People in New York, there would be a flag flying outside their window with a number on it, and it would be the number of black men lynched so far this year.
Thank you very much, Percival. Well, one of the characters in this book is an elderly woman called Granny C. And it gradually transpires, the cops who come in from the city discover that she actually is the woman Carolyn Bryant, who in real life was the woman who accused Emmett Till of maybe whistling at her, disrespecting her in some way or other. And our next question concerns Carolyn Bryant.
Okay.
Hello, Percival. It's Jonathan Shaw here from Sydney in Australia. It's an honour to be able to ask you a question about the book, which I enjoyed enormously. I read it in April last year, and a couple of days later I read that Caroline Bryant had died. I'd love to hear you say something about your deliberations about the ethics of creating and killing off Granny C, knowing that the real-life Caroline Bryant was still alive, in money still, I think. Anyway, love to hear what you have to say. Thanks.
Well, my fictional Carolyn Bryant was obviously not the real one, but a stand-in for the real one. The fact of the matter is this woman did recant her accusation against young Emmett Till later, but late enough that it didn't save his life, and late enough that it didn't cause her husband nor her brother-in-law to go to prison. She is guilty of what she is guilty of, and she was guilty of what she was guilty of. As a maker of art and a maker of fiction, she just happens to exist in this world, and quite honestly, I owe her no loyalty. However, I do owe a loyalty to the truth, and so therefore she's depicted in my way in this text.
And she is depicted as feeling uneasy about having caused the death of this lad. And let's have a reading now from the trees, Percival. This is Granny C, as she's called in your book, and her son, Wheat Bryant, has just been murdered in this extraordinary, gruesome circumstance, which very much echoes the way in which Emmett Till was originally murdered. And here she is, she's alone in her house.
Charlene was out. The children were somewhere, but not at home. So Granny C was in the house all by herself. She managed to come out of her comatose state while the family was away at the swap meet. As she came back to consciousness, she found grief for the passing of her son. Wheat had been no prize by any stretch, but he was her only child. No parent should have to bury her child, she thought. And then she thought back to long ago. There was another mother in Chicago who had buried her child, and Carolyn Bryant knew all too well that she herself was to blame for that loss. She felt the emptiness of her house change, perhaps starting with an odor, a sickly sweet smell. She pulled herself up and leaned against her cheap walker. Outside, the sunny day had become overcast. She felt something blow through the house, not a normal wind. Something small, a fork, a spoon maybe, a knife fell on the floor in the kitchen. "Who's there?" she called out, and there was no answer. She inched her walker forward toward her bathroom door. The door was not closed. It was never closed all the way. It wouldn't close all the way. The wood had swollen and was so tight against the jamb at its hinges that there were 3 final inches of the door could never cover. She thought she saw something move past those 3 inches. A shadow.
Well, this time it turns out not to be anything supernatural. In fact, it's just the sheriff who's come to call, and Granny C greets him at the door with a shotgun on her arm. And I love the fact he says to her at the end, he says, "Well, I'm glad you didn't shoot me." And she says, "I'm glad too, more mess to clear up." Anyway, let's have a question now that comes in from Delhi in India. It's from Atri Ghosh.
Hi, my question is, The Trees mixes different genres like detective, historical, zombie apocalypse, just to name a few. Was this a deliberate choice right at the beginning, or something that came in as the plot shaped up?
Well, that's a very good question. And I don't have an answer that's going to satisfy enormously. In creating the story before I started writing it, I knew that I would move forward with a kind of police procedural, but I never think of genre. I was thinking of what would advance the story and create a world that I could pull people into. You know, it's very easy to write something very sad about lynching. It's a very sad business. But I thought, who would want to read this? I don't. And I write for myself. And so I thought there has to be a point of entry, and that became not necessarily a police procedural, but the expectations that one comes to a police procedural with. I don't read detective or crime fiction, but like anyone in our culture, I know all of the moves. It's just around us all the time. And so to exploit those expectations, and also to exploit the expectation that this is going to be a sad story, I employed humor.
Humour and the supernatural. I mean, there's a element of not quite knowing whether what happens is natural or supernatural, and that's kept in suspense right up to the very end.
Yes, it is. And I wasn't thinking supernaturally at all. To me, that's just a part of living with other human beings.
What, do you think they're all supernatural?
well, certainly what they do doesn't often seem human. So.
Well, thank you very much for that. And we've got a caller on the telephone now from Indianapolis. Lisa Riolo. Lisa, hello.
Yes, thank you for taking my question. I am a tremendous fan, and I have laughed at every one of your novels. But this one's hysterical. Still, it didn't feel right to laugh so much reading a social satire about lynchings. But then I thought maybe it needed to be that so that the content wasn't too heavy. So did you write the heavy, thematic, gruesome scenes and then return to those passages to add levity where you thought tension needed to be broken? Or did switching between humor and powerful scenes come naturally to you?
Again, a very good question. Thank you. I don't think I'm being funny when I write humor. I know that I'm pathologically ironic, and I deal with that all the time. But I think the absurdity of people is fairly where I find any humor that's in the story. Certainly I have fun with the names in this novel, and I think they are funny. But I don't move back and forth between the serious and the ironic with any intention. I think that arises organically. And my belief is that the employment of humor in telling this story doesn't lighten the gravity of the crime, but actually heightens it. If I can have someone question how it is they can laugh while this is being depicted, then I've had them question something about the world in which they live.
Well, Lisa, thank you very much indeed for your question. Percival Everett, we've got a caller now from Kent in the south of England. She's a fellow novelist, Daisy Buchanan. Daisy, hello.
Hello, and hello, Percival. I thought The Trees was wonderful, and I had thought all of your books are wonderful. Like Lisa, I've got a question about humour, especially, and the names and those details. That's one of my favourite parts of The Trees. I was wondering whether you ever make yourself laugh when you're writing, and also, are there any other writers who make you laugh?
Well, first I have to say that Daisy Buchanan is a great name for a writer. That's
it's the name of a character in The Great Gatsby, isn't it, Daisy?
Yes, I borrowed it.
Oh, okay.
I don't think Fitzgerald needs it back in a hurry.
I would love to make myself laugh when I'm writing, but no, I don't seem to. There are many writers who make me laugh, but probably none so much as Samuel Butler. The Way of All Flesh is one of the funniest books I've ever read. And Mark Twain, not The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn as much as his nonfiction, Roughing It, his work about going west in the U.S., and Life on the Mississippi, his recounting his time as a riverboat mate.
Percival Everett, thank you. And Daisy, thank you for your question. And from one end of England to the other now, on the phone from West Yorkshire, in the north of England, is Mark Wilcox. Mark, hello.
Hello. Hi, Percival. My question is about one of your characters in the book. Of all the obnoxious characters you created in the story, the one that stood out for me was the aptly named Hickory Spit. Great name, by the way. In a few pages, you practically nailed every right-wing trait on him not to mention the fact that he was also in the FBI. And I just wondered who in the book was your favourite character and why.
By favourite character, Mark, do you mean the one that Percival enjoyed writing most or the one he liked most? Because clearly one cannot like Hickory Spit with difficulty.
Well, there's something about Hickory Spit that I do like.
What do you like about him?
Well, I know exactly where he stands. One of the characters that was fun to write was the Reverend, the preacher named...
the Reverend Dr. Fondle.
Cad Fondle, yes. And his wife, Fanny Fondle, I believe. Was her name.
Fancel Fondle.
Fancel, yes.
I love Fancel Fondle when the cops come to interview her and they kind of pretend to get her on side that they're interviewing her because her late husband was a really important figure, and she says, well, actually I can't repeat on air what she says, but she also says, I may be fat and white, but I'm not stupid. Mark, thank you very much for your question. And still on the subject of your characters, we had a question that was rung in from London by Tom.
I really, really liked the book, and I really liked the two main characters, Ed and Jim, the cops from out of town. And often in stories, maybe in other genres, the people from the big city from out of town who come to the small town, they get kind of charmed by the people there with their kind of like small town rural ways, but like that's absolutely not what happens here. I was wondering if that was something you were playing with, the kind of the big city versus sort of small town tropes.
I don't think that I thought of it in quite that way. I was thinking more of the cultural difference between these two men, the racially cultural difference as they come into this town, and they're greeted with a certain amount of hostility, so that there's no place for them to be charmed.
It's interesting when the locals, Money, Mississippi is a real town. It's a real place.
It is, so to speak.
Well, okay.
Insofar as it exists.
It exists, right. But what's interesting is the encounters between your two cops, the two black cops and the white cops there, and the white sheriff, is that they keep being about to use, or using, in fact, the N-word, and then saying, no offence meant.
Yes.
I mean, there's that playing with them teetering on the edges of very overt, relaxed racism, and then remembering that they're not supposed to be racist. I mean, that's one of the things which is clearly not funny in some ways, but is also very funny as a running joke through the book, as a running gag.
I think it's funny. And again, it's much better for me to know that someone is likely to use this term than to not know.
You were talking about the names of the characters. Now I have to say that by and large people have loved them, but we have two questions now. We have one from somebody who absolutely didn't love them. His in Scotland, he's called Russell Valance, and he rang this into the programme.
This is a question for Percival Everett from Russell Valance, calling from Helensburgh in Scotland. I like the book, but I thought the savage humour focusing on past atrocities was let down by one thing, and that is the use of silly names like Dr. Fondle, Herberta Hind, Helvetica Quip, and, worst of all, 3 detectives called Ho, Chi and Min. Why did you choose names like this? And am I missing something?
Before you answer that, Percival Everett, we have another rather more appreciative question. This is from Tom in London again, about the names you give your characters.
One of the things that kind of leaps out is all of these fantastic names that the characters have got. I could list loads of them, but I really liked Cad Fondle, Junior, Helvetica Quip, and Wesley Snipes, who's described as no relation and white. But the detectives, the kind of the main characters, they've just got normal names, Ed Morgan and Jim Davis. So is there a bigger point you're making here, or is it just that it's fun to give people fun names?
Well, I do have fun naming, but that was not what I was about, making them. And I can appreciate a problem that someone would have with the names. They do some work. Cad Fondle isn't simply silly, though I could imagine someone thinking it is. There is action in that name that's not exactly nice. My desire with the naming was to underscore the surreal world through which our two detectives are moving. it's not simply that the inhabitants of the world that they have to investigate are ridiculous. It is that they are truly unreally ridiculous. And the things they think and the things they do, much like Hickory Spit, are dangerous. They're not good. And it's that counterpoint, that juxtaposition of a name that seems on the surface just funny with the reality of their intentions and actions that I seek to make some meaning.
Cad Fondle is not only the coroner of this place, he's also I think it's called the Grand Kleagle. Anyway, the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, the local branch of the Ku Klux Klan. Is there really something called a Grand Kleagle?
Yes, that's an actual office in the...
So you didn't make that up?
I did not make that up.
Because
I wish I had, because it's a beautiful word, but I can't lay claim to that.
Because it's interesting. You say clearly the Klan was and remains a dangerous thing, dangerous grouping, but you also make them seem pathetic and absurd.
Well, as most fearful people are, this is an organization that is born of and generated by fear. And in that way, as a reasonable person, you have to have some compassion of someone who moves through the world with such fear. But that compassion is fairly short-lived when you realize that they're dangerous and cruel. But to say that it continues as any kind of significant presence, it does with other names in the culture.
Does the Klan not still exist?
Well, it does. But as in most cases, it's the combination of many groups like them. And it's hard to point to them as being as dangerous, say, as, the Republican Party.
Well, that is obviously a fairly controversial view. But at least 50% of your compatriots might not agree with that.
Well, I won't say any more.
Percival Everett, thank you very much. We've got lots more questions for you about the trees.
Turn the dial and turn up the thrill. We are not in the same league. We are rewriting the rules. Here on Today 95.1 FM.
The station with the...
As the voice of the people, we make sure that no one misses out. On Today 95.1 FM, there's something for everyone.
Our tech show, because tech is new money. Our kids show, because we love the little ones.
Our Gospelration, because it's the moment of truth. Our High Life show, because high life is vintage.
Our sports show with the adrenaline. Our midnight show, because we care about your love life.
Our Nostalgia Drive, because old is gold. Our show for young people, because Gen Z code is on.
Our Pidgin Bit, because na Naija we dey. Our book review, because books are a mirror. Our big stories, because big things only.
Our health shows with seasoned health experts, because we care that you're healthy. Our eyewitness report, because we want to hear from you. Our reggae show, because Rastafari.
One love.
Today 95.1 FM, today's quest. Today 95.1 FM, today's hustle. Today 95.1 FM, today's connect. Today 95.1 FM, voice of the people.
Get up and make a move, 'cause the world will never see you until you do. No, they don't really care what you're going through, so you gotta show them, baby. You gotta get up. gotta get up and make a move. 'Cause the world will never see you till you do. No, they don't really care what you're going through. So you gotta show them, baby. You gotta show them the real you. You gotta give them what you've got. No, don't let them see what you're not. 'Cause you are strong. You are wise. You are worth beyond 1,000 reasons why. And you can't be perfect, baby. 'Cause nobody's perfect, darling. But no, 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 there's nobody in the world like you. What do you do when you can't let go? What do you say when you just don't know how you feel? And you know nobody knows how you feel. 'Cause everybody's got their own damn problem. So everybody's trying to find their way. And day by day is a struggle. In this world, you know you have to hustle. Just know that you're not alone. You don't always have to be strong all by yourself. I said it's okay to ask for help. Now listen, people will find you, but they don't define you. And you will find people who help redesign you. People will find you, but they don't define you. And you will find people who help redesign you. You are a work of art. Bet you didn't think you'd come this far. Now here you are. Baby, you are strong. You are wise. You are worth beyond 1,000 reasons why. And you can't be perfect, baby. 'Cause nobody's perfect, darling. But no, 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 there's nobody in the world like you. You know that you can't be perfect, baby. Nobody's perfect, darling.
95.1 FM, Voice of the People.
And we're back.
Is it love you are looking for? Is it peace you are looking for? You're looking for. You go find out more. Don't worry anymore. You go get time even more. Even more. You go get it hard now. It may be difficult for you. You may be thinking, can you really make it true? You may be asking, if not only you, then do